you amazing friends. This is your pal Edwards here speaking with the amazing and powerful business lady, Steph Gobraiel. Steph Gobraiel, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Ed?
And what are you drinking, Steph? I've got a beautiful sugar-free Lipton iced tea. What do you have?
Ooh, I've got my second coffee for the day. I usually have one, but when I have crazy days, I up my game to two. So yes.
I can't believe it's your second cup of coffee at 1 p.m. I'd have my second cup of coffee by 9 a.m. So there you go. So I'm a big caffeine addict, as you know. Now, Steph, we're having this conversation off camera. If you just come in, like, share, comment, great to have you with us. And Steph and I are just having this great conversation off camera. And I'm just going to be honest with the audience, as always am. So we've had governments do a really poor job this year. We've had interest rates go through the roof, business confidence fall. A lot of people have left business. But Steph Gobraiel, your business is growing. You're expanding. You're a successful women's networker. And I just want to simply ask the question of you, Steph. How come you're growing and so many people are in decline? How have you done it?
I don't want to compare myself to anyone else. So let's just start there.
Sure.
But I think perseverance and awareness play two really big roles. So being aware of what's going on in and around your business plays a role, and the perseverance to keep going, to keep working on your business, because that's what's going to sort of, build your business profile. That's what's going to get the eyes, get people watching, and, doing the networking and, giving back if you have that opportunity to as well. That's why I host, that's why I'm a host for She Will Shine, because I love giving back to women in business. And the feeling afterwards is amazing. It's priceless. You can't put a price on giving back, to something that's important to you.
And I was just going to say on a side note, She Will Shine. Again, thank you. I was having a chat to the founder of She Will Shine in Melbourne the other day, and it's an amazing network. I just want to, I suppose, take a sideways step for the moment in our conversation. She Will Shine, incredible business network. Tell us about that. How have you made it so successful in Sydney? What is it? And tell us a bit about how it helps women and everything.
Sure. So it is for women in business. It's a community, and at the beginning of the year, I was, when I joined it last year, but the ambassador is based in Wollongong. So there isn't a Sydney meetup. And I thought, well, that's crazy, because, Sydney is a massive city, and,
Okay.
we need someone to be hosting.
And Sydney, of course, is the capital of the Southern Hemisphere, if you don't mind me saying.
Absolutely.
There we go. There we go.
It's definitely Sydney.
Yes.
So I put my hand up, and, I've never put my hand up to do anything like that. So that's this thing where, you're stepping out of your comfort zone. And yeah, I've been hosting them since the beginning of the year, and I'll be doing that next year as well. And, women in business, it's about connection and, having a coffee and some morning tea and just connecting, and then that way you can build on those relationships as well as time goes on.
Love it. Love it. I just want to check in with our fans. We've got Sadi, Cindy, Mark with us. If you've just come in, big welcome. Smash that like, share, and comment. I am holding up my phone to keep an eye on your comments on our live stream. And I just want to ask you a bit more of a gendered question, actually. Women, now, again, Lassie runs a women's network. Thank you for helping out there too. We run our main business networking meetups.
Yep.
How does women's networking generally differ to, let's say, co-ed business networking? How is the women's experience different?
Look, any networking event, you have a vibe to it, Ed. And when it's co-ed, it's just different. Okay. But I think it also depends on the host as well of any networking event, right? They sort of set up the vibe for whatever is going, like for the actual event. So with women's networking, you want to be like Lassie, you want to be welcoming, you want to be friendly, and, everyone is, on the same sort of level. There's no one that's above you or better or whatever that sort of thing. We're human beings, and we're there to connect. Where sometimes with co-ed, people just want to sell or give you their card, and it's like, I haven't even spoken to you. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit, I think everyone's intentions are different when they go to networking. But with women, I think it's more about, making new connections and, finding those business buddies and, having, a cheerleading squad when something, great happens, like that support as well, because it can be quite isolating if you're working from home and, you're a one-man band sort of thing.
And it's funny to say that. Back in the day before, this is pre-COVID. Again, even though I'm a very handsome and now slim Arab male from Sydney, and I am slim, by the way, there you go. Anyway, well, finally, it took me 30 years to lose those 20 kilos. Anyway, I've always been in women's empowerment, and I actually guest spoke at a man at a few women's networking gatherings. And the reason why they had me there, they wanted me to give the experience of women's networking from a male's viewpoint. So they basically wanted to get my male view on business networking to their female audience. And it's funny that I couldn't agree with you more. One thing I love about women's-based networking is that you guys, you lovely ladies, will focus more on relationships, right? So us men, we're often the offenders for business card in the face trying to hard sell you. And that's the thing I like. I think women's networking is more about what networking should be. It should be built on the relationships. And whilst our meetups are certainly open to all genders, men and women, in a way, I learned that from the women's networks. The women networks put friendship before business. And in that, when you become friends, business flows as a natural consequence, which I agree with. What's your take on that one? Obviously, you agree, Steph, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one.
Well, I think it doesn't have to be just friendship. I think it's, finding that connection where there is, common ground with somebody and then building it based on that. And when you have that common ground and you find that something that might not be, about business, it can connect you with people in a very different way. And, like, for example, I had someone come to She Will Shine yesterday, and she was the first one there, and she was absolutely lovely, and we were talking, and we found that common ground, right? We were just talking about life and everything else, and we found that common ground quickly, and it was like we knew each other. We were talking, it was like we were friends, but we just met, sort of thing. So to find that sort of that connection, that that common ground with someone can be the difference between, having them in your network and not, just moving on to the next person, sort of thing. So I think it's that connection that's really important.
Oh, Stephen, well said. And we've got Jane Lehman from Texas. It's evening in Texas time. Good evening to you in Texas, and good afternoon to you winners in Australia. So there you go. We're in the Southern Hemisphere, and we've got winners like Jane in the Northern Hemisphere. Great to have you with us. So, Steph, I want to ask you as well, right? And I know I've had this conversation a lot with people lately, and I was talking to my accountant yesterday. Amazing lady. You'd like her, actually. You and her are actually quite similar. You'll get along well. And I was just saying to her straight up, right, we've had, 9 interest rate rises in the past 10 months. We've had cost of livings go through the roof. Same in Australia, Europe, and America. It's been crazy. And the UK, of course. And it's like the government has done whatever it can to make business conditions harder. In other words, and I was speaking to local cafe owners from where I live in Sydney as well, saying the same thing. It's like, we're selling more than we did same time last year. We got more customers the same time last year, but our expenses are way higher than our revenue, right? You get it. You're a smart lady, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of business owners are feeling that way. Their business is growing, but because just due to inept government management, our expenses have gone through the roof. What do you say to business owners who need to grow more and reduce their expenses just to keep up with the government mismanagement and crazy cost of living? What do you think on that one, Steph?
I definitely agree with you. This last year has been insane with interest rates and the cost of living. And I've seen a lot of people that I know, go back to work because they can't, they can't the expenses for their business is just, it's outdoing the profit sort of thing. But one thing I've done as well, Ed, is review, your business expenses, and is there, a potentially a free option. So I'll give you an example. I love Zoom, okay? And I don't want to let it go, but I have the option of Google Meet and the option of Teams, but I don't like them like I like
Microsoft
Zoom.
Teams.
Yeah,
Microsoft Teams. There we go.
right. So, I think what's important is to review what you're doing and, recycle content. You can do that. That's what I'm doing, in the next few months. We don't create content for this one-time thing and that's it. No, we need to be able to recycle it as long as it's, it's still, what's the word?
Relevant.
Relevant. There we go. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. As long as it's still relevant.
and everyone, you're talking to a guy who recycles a lot of content and tries to hide you from realizing that. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and that's being clever about it, right? But recycling content, do some planning. Like I'm doing planning between now and the end of the year. But what I'm also doing, Ed, is I'm going to come back to that planning in the new year because, when you have a break and you reboot, the operating system, then, you see things a little bit clearer as well. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do that planning in order to look at my expenses as well. So I think we've got to just really make that time to do that. So that's a couple of ways that, business owners can potentially keep the costs down.
It's funny you say that. A funny story. I told you this one, and I'm going to say I'm probably going to get into trouble saying this on LinkedIn, but I'll say it anyway, right? Because I love my followers. You're awesome if you're watching. So what happened was, there's this cool photo of me when I lost a lot of my weight sitting in business class. So I'm sitting in business class, and I'm sitting there. I've lost a lot of weight, and I've got this funny pose in my drink. It's a cool photo, right? And what I did was, and traveling is part of my brand. So part of my personal brand is the fact that I'm a traveler, right? So it helps build my personal brand experience. Anyway, so what happened was, Lassie was out of town with the kids. They're literally out of the country. They were in Hong Kong. And what I did was, it was Friday night. I was at home in Sydney, and I was bored, right? Bored. So what I did was, it was Friday night, and I took this photo of me in business class, Virgin Airlines. I put it on LinkedIn and I said, "Hey everyone, it's Edward here. Have the greatest weekend ever." Right? So I'm literally sitting at home on Friday, bored, right? And I put up this photo. And what happened was, everyone said, they got that walls of comments. "Oh, Ed, where are you going to now? What's going on? What's this? What's that?" And I realized, I think I misled my audience without me. And I just said at the bottom, "Hey, everyone, I'm just going to bed," but I just thought I'd put up this photo to be funny. But what I found interesting was this one photo of me sitting. It's a great photo. Every time I put it up, people seem to forget I put it up earlier. They just assume that I'm flying around again. So anyway, that was a funny example, Steph.
But you see, they're used to seeing you jet setting around the country as well, Ed. So that's another thing, right? And as you said, if it's part of your personal brand, that's why it's so, it's such a common thing, for them to see you, for example, sitting in business class, going somewhere sort of thing, as you do.
And also, too, got an interesting comment from Jane Lehman. Jane Lehman's one of our wonderful from Texas. Great seeing you, Jane. Jane said, but this is us talking about inept government's interest rate rises. Same in the US. Absolutely. In fact, pretty much in the Western world right now, you can't escape, poor government, just interest rates out of control, cost of living going through the roof with no real discernible wage growth. And that brings us back to our conversation. Yes, we can cut our expenses, but at the end of the day, you can only cut your expenses so much, can't you? Right? And this is one of my Michael Murray, one of my old manufacturing clients. About 10 years ago, in manufacturing, the government was doing this big push on helping manufacturers lower their costs, such as change this, put in energy efficient light bulbs. And his reply was, "That's awesome. Once I've done that, then what? I've cut all my expenses. Now what?" Right? And again, the inept governments couldn't answer that. Well, the Liberals can, but Labor can't. That's why I vote Liberal. So if you're in Australia, vote Liberal. But I want to say back to you, right? you've been growing your business beautifully. You've launched a workshop recently that you've already got a stack of signups, and launched it what, a day or two ago, and got all these signups. I want to say, how are you growing your business and getting all these new customers in? What's your secret sauce, Steph Gobraiel?
I think it comes back to that awareness piece, Ed. You've got to be very aware of what's working and what's not working in business, and doing that review is so important. Like in 2024, I'm going to be, my aim is to hold a masterclass every quarter. And that's, so people can build that, know, like, trust
Every
factor.
quarter. I reckon you could do it every month if you wanted to. That's like, there you go. But every quarter, you'd have 30 people every time at least, Steph.
Yeah, but it's also, being able to pivot, and, I guess finding avenues that would work for your potential clients as well. And, that might be in the back of my mind. I've had a digital product that I've wanted to release for a very long time, and I might be doing that over Christmas holidays. So, it's finding ways, and like business communities, and business communities like that are like business support, communities instead of the one-to-one. So it's really trying to find different avenues of how you can, you can make money, and that's it's affordable to people as well.
Yeah. But on that note, I love what you've done, right? So in other words, so you do a lot of one-on-one mentoring, which is incredible. You also have a lot of your virtual assistant business support services as well, right? Which is fantastic. And I like what you've done. You've launched a beautiful planning workshop that you're going to run on a regular basis. You've got a great pilot price of $99. Is it $99? Is that right? Yeah. And I'm sure it'll go up later on, and so it should. And I love how you've done it. So you've still got your main products, which obviously are growing, but you've launched this beautiful low price workshop to not only give people value, but make yourself some more revenue. And I'd love before we talk about your workshop, which is a great workshop that I highly recommend, what are some of your tips to people who are listening on creating new products and services to help increase their revenue and their reach? What are some of your thoughts on that one, Steph?
So I would think about something that you can, for example, turn into a product. So one of my services I'm turning into a product. So that way people don't have to sign up for a one-on-one. There's something there that can guide them in order to get the same outcome. And, it's that sort of thing, it's looking at what you're doing and seeing and really sort of reviewing what's working and what's not working in your business. Do you need more, lower price entry points to get some people in so they can get an idea of, what you do or how you do it? Do you need a free lead magnet? Like I've got 3 on my website, and I'm going to do another one in 2024. So people can really, so it can get them thinking about, whatever it is that you have to offer that could potentially help them move forward in their business as well. So there's all these little things that people can be doing that can be, that can be helpful to your potential audience. And then you're building this relationship slowly with them. Right. So by creating a lead magnet, you're giving them something to think about, right? There's going to be an outcome from that, so that might be that first touch point. The second touch point might be that they attend a masterclass and they see what you're about and they see what your potential is to do that could help them with their business. And it's really putting yourself out there, Ed. And this is what it comes back to, right? Like when I first joined up with you, I said, I'm not talking in front of the room. And now I'm able to talk in front of the room and tell people who I am.
You're now one of the people we often put first up. You've gone from, hi, Ed, you can shove it and you can go and F yourself, right? In very familiar Arabic terms. And now you're like, no, Ed, I'm going first, or you can go and F yourself. No, you're just kidding. Steph doesn't drop F-bombs, everyone. I'm obviously adding it. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard you drop an F-bomb. Please don't do it now, but there you go. Steph's a very polite lady. There you go. So I'm just projecting my own insecurities and shortcomings onto Steph. That's not Steph, it's actually me. Now, Steph, interestingly enough, I love where you're going. Tell us a bit about your workshop. You got a great workshop coming up.
Yes.
Fantastic price, 99 Australian dollars for your pilot. Anyone from across the world can join us. Please tell us a bit about your workshop. When's it on? How does it work? And what do people get from it?
Sure. Thank you, Ed. So on Thursday, the 30th of November, midday Sydney time, we will be running through a workshop on planning. So there's 3 parts to this workshop. So you've got the review, you've got the brainstorming, and then you've got the planning side of things. And it comes with a 16-page workbook. So it's not just me talking to people, and you're actually getting tangible outcomes for what you want to be trying to achieve in 2024. And then they can also book in a half an hour with me once they've done that planning to just review with me one-on-one what they've come up with, and, potentially what can work, what can't work. Now, I know things come up, but I think if you put your mind to it, anything is achievable. It's really about making that time in order to make it happen. So, where is it on the priority list for you and your business? That's what it comes down to. And working on your business, as I always preach, Ed, is what it's about. That's the long game in business. It's working on your business, which is this planning, right? That will help your business stay in the game, first of all, like as we talked about the interest rates and how expensive everything is, but also to keep building it as well.
Absolutely. And just to say as well, that's 12 p.m. Sydney time. And for our friends in the United States, just so you know, it is open internationally. That works out to 8 p.m. New York time. And of course, it gets earlier in the US based on where you are. So you go from the East Coast to the West Coast. So again, great hours. We're on our LinkedIn workshops at 10 a.m. Sydney time, which is very beautifully compatible with the US market as well, because we love the United States. I was going to ask you as well, Steph, right? You're a very savvy lady. Again, your business is growing in very, very tough, incompetent management by the government in economic times. And bravo to you. And again, I always say these economic times are all manufactured problems by the government. The government's caused this and they're the ones responsible for it. I want to ask you, Steph, I should run for office. I want to ask you, Steph, right? No, I'm a liberal. And just so I'm a right-wing liberal. There you go. Which means, I guess, by American terms, I'm a Republican. There you go. But what I want to ask you, Steph, is to all of our friends across the world, what are some of your big tips for them now and moving forward to really make their 2024 their best year ever?
So do your planning. I think that's really important, and take some time to review what's worked and what hasn't worked in 2023 and 2022. How can you change direction? Sometimes it's the changing direction. So I'm not saying change your business. It's just changing direction that can play a big role. And I'll give you an example. I recently changed the name of my business and partial rebrand. And that's all part of this big picture that I'm working towards as well. And maybe you only do one-on-one. Maybe you open up like a group membership, as I said, maybe create a lead magnet. So you really want to try and think of different touch points that you can be bringing in clients. Because again, it's the long game. It doesn't happen overnight. So anything that you can be doing for your business that you might not see the results immediately can come into effect in 2024.
Well said, Steph. If you are here, like, share, comment. Please connect with Steph Gobraiel and yours truly on LinkedIn. And again, Steph, outsourced staff, business mentoring, business support. She's a very smart lady and right across the world. And also to Women's Networking in Sydney, talk to Steph as well. So, Steph, I just want to say as a closing thought, how can people get into contact with you, and do you offer a discovery session or anything like that to help people kick off their experience with you?
Absolutely. So connect with me on LinkedIn or whatever platform you're on. And yes, on my website, I do have a 30-minute discovery call where you can come and speak to me about any part of your business. And I always ask for information beforehand. So when we come into the meeting, it's like the conversation's already started. We're not starting from scratch, because half an hour goes really quickly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's
So
right.
s38businessmanagement.com.au.
Oh, there we go. Steph, love your work. Steph, you're amazing. Let's let you get back to work, Steph. You've got hundreds of clients to look after. And Steph, I just want to say we thank you so much. If you are watching, connect with Steph and I. And Steph, can we just get a final closing thought from you? And we're going to sign off on that.
Okay. Have an amazing day, and just start thinking about what worked and what didn't work in 2023. That's a great starting point.
Oh my God, I think I'm going to do that myself. Love your work, Steph. Thank you, everyone. Stay awesome.
Thanks,
and talk to you later. Keep winning
later.
all.